Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, May 15, 2023. I'm Rochelle Batiste with the details. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is in a far better place today than what it was in March 2001 when the Unity Labour Party took office. This is according to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves in response to a question posed to him on the WeFM Issues at Hand program on Sunday on whether he would say that the state of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has been sound under his leadership.
You see material progress all around you. You see it in the economy, you see it in salaries, you see it in wages, you see it in the number of persons employed, you see it in the schools, you see it in education, you see it in health facilities and health generally, then sports and culture, carnival, dance, pan. You know, you just have to, the physical facilities, the bridges, the roads, what we're doing now, the port. You know, right now today, Cecil, contractors, there's a construction boom in this country today, like you have not seen any time in the history of this country. Even when you're at the Argyle International Airport. Because you must remember, Argyle commenced in 2008. In the very year, Argyle commenced in August, the airport. In September of that year, there was a meltdown on Wall Street. And we had to build that in an extremely difficult climate in order to raise money. Now, still we have the problems. We had COVID, we had the volcano, all the knock-on effects, problems from Ukraine and other areas of global turmoil. But what we are seeing, what we have seen last year, 6% growth, 6% is going to be this year again. It was said to be 5. That was the forecast. The IMF came here a few weeks ago. They say, well, it's going to be 6. Next year, targeting 5. In fact, in both years, the received wisdom from the economists is that St. Vincent and the Grenadines will grow more than any other country in CARICOM, even except Guyana, because of the oil factor. No. There is no carpenter, no mason, no tileman, no plumber, no electrician who is looking for work, can't find work in St. Vincent. Right now, no ordinary construction worker, Joel, you can't, if you were in that era, once you're looking for it, you find it. In fact, on Thursday, Sabi came to me. He said, no, we have a lot of farm workers going to the construction industry. Finding it difficult, we might have to see if we can bring in some farm workers. That's what he tells me. That is what is happening before our very eyes.
Prime Minister Gonsalves, however, noted that one of the challenges which they are having is dealing with the impact of the rapid extent of technological innovations.
The technology has done, information technology. And Joel, you would have seen it in your businesses. I see it in government. You will see it in your families, people who are listening to me. It has broken down hierarchies. You had a lot of hierarchical structures. But the information systems of the modern world have loosened and broken down those hierarchical structures. How do you come to terms with those? Because people have certain old ideas in their heads and not accommodating them, not allowing them to be altered in new circumstances. That's a problem for management. That's a problem for parenting. That's a problem for teaching and learning. Pijan, you have seen it in schools. And it is a problem for leadership in the political sphere and also for representation. Oh, people use the technology for propaganda, for this, for that, for warring sides. That's not just what I'm talking about. In a sense, that is the least problematic of the matters. It's the way you take for me, in my case. I have, almost everybody has my telephone number. I start getting text messages from 4 o'clock in the morning. By the time I reach to work at 8, 7:30, I'd have 50, 60, 70 text messages, nearly 100 telephone calls, telephone messages. The sheer volume, people are using the technology in a manner which is facilitating them, but it is also one which presents challenges. I give that as an example, snapshot. So
the Prime Minister said another area which they are having challenges with is violent crimes.
We live in a violent neighborhood in the Caribbean and coming up from South America and Central America. We live in a violent neighborhood next to the United States of America with the proliferation of guns and the way they're coming, and a number of young males' fascination with guns. Not a matter, as I've spoken about, which is connected to anything with poverty, because there's far, far less poverty today than you had when we came to office. Far, far less poverty than the 1930s, if we go back in historical terms. But yet in the 1930s, you had fewer homicides, and so on and so forth. And I want to make a general point, because it may come back again as we discuss leadership. Men and women make history, but only to the extent that the circumstances of history permit them so to make. What part of those circumstances revolves around what is in the heads of men and women? Many things inherited from the past. And sometimes those inheritances in the head act like a nightmare on the brains of the living. So while you observe things, but I'm providing now some kind of framework for a possible understanding about certain things, both with possibilities and limitations, strengths and weaknesses. So you asked me the question, and I will give an unequivocal answer. In material terms, social terms, the face of the country has changed by far for the better. There are some issues which relate to lifestyle matters, which individuals and the society need to pay attention to, like, for instance, some issues concerning crime and violence, some involving lifestyle diseases, diseases concerning hypertension, diabetes, strokes, cardiac, heart issues, and the like. So that's how I'd answer in a summary sense.
Meanwhile, leader of the opposition New Democratic Party, Dr. Godwin Friday, told a rally in Georgetown Saturday night that things in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are not what they should be. The rally was held under the theme, Pillars of Hope. Dr. Friday told a large gathering at the Seaview Gardens that St. Vincent and the Grenadines is a beautiful country with wonderful, hard-working people who love the country and want to have a good life in the country. And as a father, he wants to leave a better St. Vincent and the Grenadines, not only for his own children, but all of the children of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And I became involved in politics, not to make a name for myself. It's because I want to build a St. Vincent and the Grenadines that has the promise and the energy that gives an opportunity to every person to achieve their full potential. Every day I count my blessings, because God has given us so much in this country. But it is up to us to use that blessing wisely, not to squander it as we are doing now. We all know that things in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are not what they should be. Things are not going well. Our country is broken and divided. We need a new direction that brings healing and hope. And we got to this point not by accident. It was by design, by those who try to use our fears to divide us, so that they will become stronger. Because as you know the old saying, when you divide, you conquer. Together as united, we cannot be defeated.
Commenting on the crime situation, the opposition leader said the country is going in the wrong direction and an NDP government will deal with the crime situation within its first term in office.
We are drifting in this country, and we are at the whim of one man to do as he feels. It is as though we live on his plantation and we are there to work for him, to do his bidding, rather than the other way around. Crime and violence, you have heard from my colleague, Major, is out of control in this country. The streets literally flow with the blood of our children, of our people, of our brothers and our sisters. Last year, we had a record number of homicides in this country. This year already 17, and we are on track to the worse than we did last year. That tells us we're going in the wrong direction. People don't feel safe in their homes anymore. They don't feel safe in public anymore. But as Major has told you, we will fix that. I will give him the task to get that done, and he will get it done within the first term of an NDP government. All Gonzalez and the ministers do is to blame everybody else. They're blaming pretty girls who have high maintenance. They're blaming the judges, the magistrates. They're even blaming the preachers for crime. But the people who are in control of the government, they don't blame themselves. But I say this, if you don't take responsibility, then you could never fix the problem. Because you're saying it's not your problem. He can't be serious. Blaming high maintenance pretty women for causing crime. Is this a serious person who take the interests and concerns and fears of the people of this country to heart? Well, I believe that we can do better, and we will do better. I promise you that.
The opposition leader also commented on the country's healthcare system and education.
It's a terrible disgrace. It's a disaster. People are afraid to go to the hospital. You can't get bandage and medicine. You're going in to stay overnight. You have to pack your bags like you're going camping. There is nothing in this country that is more sacred than our healthcare system. And this government has allowed it to go downhill. And you know why? Because they can leave and go abroad whenever they want to get treatment. And the rest of us, the rest of you, the rest of all of us here have to take what this country, the limited amount it has to offer. Our education system, they brag about it, but check, and I want the parents to remember this, to acknowledge this. Your children, they go to school in Form 1, and you have so much hope for them. You buy the uniforms, you buy the best backpacks. And by the time they get to Form 2 and Form 3, they're out the door. The dropout rate in this country is a disgrace, and they don't acknowledge that. They tell you they had a revolution. But that is a lie. We want to fix that for the people so that the average child in this country has a fair chance to graduate at least high school and to have technical and vocational education to give them skills. But, you know, you have to conclude from all the things you've heard tonight and from what I've just recapped that the Prime Minister and his people, his ministers, they really don't care about our people. They cannot care about our people. That is my firm belief. They care only about power, and they gave enough to secure themselves in power so that they could use and abuse it as they choose.
In other news now, we hear that the Deputy Clerk of the House of Assembly, Sharon Nash, has passed away. The news came today from Clerk of the House of Assembly, Nicole Hubbard, who said in an announcement to the media that the Deputy Clerk passed away on Saturday, May 13th in Trinidad and Tobago. The clerk said the Speaker, members of Parliament and the staff of the House of Assembly mourned the passing of their sister and colleague and pray for God's comfort for her husband, sons, grandsons and other family and friends at this time. Meanwhile, former Speaker of the House of Assembly, Jomo Thomas, was shocked by the news of the passing of the Deputy Clerk, describing Nash as knowledgeable, helpful and competent.
That Ms. Nash, this is absolutely a shock to me. I know that Ms. Nash had some challenges, some health challenges, but I really thought she had gone past them, because the last time I saw her, which might have been a few months ago, she was her normal, happy self, you know. She was an outstanding worker. She was very collegial. She was exceedingly helpful, very competent, very knowledgeable. She didn't have any chip on her shoulder. She would relate to all of the workers in the House of Assembly, the parliamentarians, everyone. Whether you come off the street and with an inquiry, everyone, she dealt with them with dignity and with respect. It's really sad to hear that she has passed. I'm shocked by the news. I had not known that she was ill. Well, that she had deteriorated to the point where she has now gone to meet the ancestors. What can I say? It is said that we live and then we die. So I guess all of these things have to be expected, but we never really prepare for these eventualities. I don't think that we are hardwired in our DNA to ever be prepared and to be contented. I guess we grow to accept and understand that we are just transient beings, you know, and today we are here and sometime in the future we are gone. But Ms. Nash was, like I said, an outstanding woman, quality woman, and I mourn her loss.
Okay.
I mourn her loss. It's devastating news.
And former Member of Parliament Rennie Batiste said Nash was a meticulous and very pleasant lady.
It was really indeed such sad news to hear the passing of Mrs. Nash. She has always impressed me as a very meticulous and careful individual. She was very pleasant. I could get what information I needed as long as I went through the proper channels to ensure that I got that information. I found her to be a very gracious lady and a good example of a public servant. I believe the staff would miss her because even though I did not have a long period with her as deputy clerk, I only knew her in that position when I served briefly as a senator in the House last year. So it's really sad. So on behalf of myself, members of my staff, and my family, I wish to extend to her family our deepest condolences. I knew her little son, such a lovely little youngster. This is a rough time for everybody. Lots of deaths over the weekend.
And former Chief Executive Officer of the Central Water and Sewage Authority, Gart Saunders, passed away last night at his home in Cane Garden. Saunders has given 39 years of his life in the public service, with 18 of those years as CEO of the CWSA. He also served on several boards, including here at SVG Broadcasting Corporation and the Argyle International Airport, Inc. At the time of his passing, Saunders was project manager for the European Union-funded road project in the Ministry of Transport and Works. Lawyer Rennie Batiste, who knew Saunders for a very long time, told SVGTV News in a telephone interview that Saunders was a tremendous asset to the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he would be greatly missed.
I knew Mr. Gart Saunders very, very well. As a matter of fact, he sat in the pew in church right behind the one where our family would normally sit. I knew his mom, his sister, and he would come to church there. I knew him very well, and when he took up his various positions over the years in the utilities here, especially the Water Authority, I had occasion to deal with him. An excellent professional, always ready and willing to give such assistance or whatever details that you wanted to find out from him. And I knew him as well since serving as chairman of the board of directors of VINLEC, our interactions from time to time, and also in his capacity as chairman of the board of the Argyle International Airport. Excellent professional, and he always liked to write on issues of national interest. There's several articles in various newspapers where he would have given his professional opinion on matters that he would have heard persons debating in the public domain about various aspects of national development, including the airport and, of course, the Water Authority. And when we had the eruption, what were his views and so on about the system, etc., etc. Even though, he retired, it was wonderful to hear him on the radio from time to time. I think he did a couple of radio programs as well. And that is when you know that persons are, they're not just qualified with degrees, but they have the experience, the requisite experience, the necessary experience to speak with a level of authority.
The management and staff of SVG-TV and by extension, SVG Broadcasting Corporation extend condolences to his family and friends. In more local news now, we hear that Desi Lave, 13-year-old Form 1 student of the Sandy Bay Secondary School, is now dead after he was struck by a minibus last evening in Orange Hill at about 6:50 p.m. A report from the police say a motor vehicle HV112, a Toyota Hiace owned by Leonard Ballantyne of Sandy Bay and driven by Kashaka Holder, a 38-year-old Byra resident, struck the young boy as it headed towards Sandy Bay. The police report says Lave suffered multiple injuries about his body and was taken to the Georgetown Medical Center before being transferred to the Milton Keto Memorial Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. A post-mortem examination is expected to be carried out on the body of the deceased to ascertain the exact cause of death. The driver of the minibus is assisting the police with the investigation. Persons with information that can help with this investigation are encouraged to contact the Georgetown Police Station at 1784-458-6229. The police say all information collected will be strictly confidential and investigations into the matter are ongoing. Meanwhile, St. Vincent and the Grenadines recorded its 18th homicide for the year on Sunday, May 14th, with the death of Eric Conleff, a resident of Kingston Park. According to reports, Conleff was killed in a shooting incident Sunday afternoon near the DHL office on Upper Middle Street in capital Kingston. Conleff, who was an electrician, was reportedly working on a building near the DHL office when he was shot at by an unknown assailant. He reportedly died on the scene. Police are also investigating the shooting incident. In other news now, we hear that a rededication service was held on Sunday, May 14th for the Holy Name Anglican Church in Sandy Bay. The church was among several churches in the constituency damaged by the eruption of La Soufrière volcano in 2021. The rededication service was attended by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, Deputy Prime Minister and Area Representative Montgomery Daniel, other members of the cabinet, including South Windward MP Frederick Stevenson, among others. Pastor Junior Batiste thanked God for bringing the church to where it is today.
The total cost of approximately $500,000. In cash, it's $387,940 EC dollars. In kind donation would it be another $137,000 in kind donation. People who have given their service, their time, and everything else. So I put it to $500,000. This inclusive community-based church experienced several demise situations over the years. Prior to 2010, when Hurricane Thomas devastated this church, it was used, or it served the entire community well, be it for ceremonies, workshops, retreats, spiritual or moral edification, psychosocial programs, preschool, and otherwise. It serves most of all as a house of prayer, worship for the faithful saints who have passed through these doors.
Forestry Supervisor Casimir McLeod said that it is very concerning how the forest in Linley Valley, Rose Hall, is disappearing at an alarming rate. He made a revelation during a recent bird watching exercise to the forest.
Linley Valley, and we are heading further into the interior. Worthy of noticing is the fact that the forest is disappearing at an alarming rate in this particular area. In fact, right behind me you could see slash and burn agriculture being practiced, and you could see the farmer groddling the trees as to clear the land. And the theme for the celebration for Birds Caribbean this year has to do with water and sustaining bird life. In fact, they're basically looking at how the conservation of water benefits humans and birds alike. And obviously with a disappearing forest comes a reduction in the total available water, because once you don't have any forest to increase retention storage, then you're going to have less water ending up in the stream, and therefore there will be less water to basically facilitate or enhance the bird life and hence human. In addition to that, which is worth noting, is the fact that the bird use the trees one as their habitat in terms of their homes. So basically the homes are disappearing along with the water supply. And then in terms of food, most of the trees, through their flower and their fruits, provide a sustainable source of food for the birds. And in this particular case, we could appreciate the fact that the disappearing forest is going to have consequential impact on the food source of the birds. It's going to have impact on the habitat for the birds, and basically on the amount of water that is available for them.
McLeod further cautioned farmers across St. Vincent and the Grenadines to desist from the slash and burn agriculture practices.
So hence the need for education and awareness, through which we are doing by media, of persons clearing lands to be a little bit more cognizant of the fact of the importance that the land plays and the trees in the biodiversity of the area. So basically you want to be able to encourage persons to not to totally clear the land, but to do it in a systematic way, that you would leave particular fruit trees that are of importance to our birds and that can enhance the overall water quality and quantity. So this is a particular interest to us and something that we need to basically point out, because the water is not only going to benefit the bird in terms of drinking, etc., but it's going to also benefit the farmer. If you know, this is a very dry area and the farmer is basically engaging a little bit of irrigation, but once you have an abundance of trees, that is going to encourage the presence of rain, and hence this problem is going to be being reduced or alleviated totally. So that is important for us to take note of. Thank you, ladies.
Okay.